Black Friday is almost here, and with it comes another opportunity brought to you by the sponsor of this video, Amazon Appstore. They've also lent me a QR code so you can view the site, and if you use it to get Amazon coins, you can also support my channel. Amazon Coin is a digital currency that is available through the Amazon Appstore, where you can download your favorite games. You can purchase Amazon coins to use it to get several items through the Amazon Appstore. Doing so can let you save on apps, games, and in-app purchases. Now you might be wondering, why not just spend regular money? You see, Amazon Coins has a nice bonus added to it. The more you purchase, the greater the discount applied to the sale, so you potentially get more mileage out of the money you plan to spend. There are multiple packs of different discounts, so feel free to take a look and pick what appeals to you. Not only that, but starting November 24th at 2 o'clock PST, it will be Amazon Coins Black Friday week, where you will earn 3% Amazon coins back on all in-app purchases to make your money go farther. This offer will only last until the end of November. If you play War of Divisions, they have the same offer there, but the duration scales back by a day. In order to get access to Amazon coins, you must be using the version of the game downloaded from the Amazon App Store. So if you're a spender looking for ways to get more out of your money, consider Amazon Coins. This is a pretty useful feature that can help you with your budgeting, so if you're interested in this, make sure to use the link in the video description as it supports this channel. Thanks again to Amazon Appstore for sponsoring this video, and speaking of which, let's get back to it. We've got details on NieR. 2B apparently packs lightning and light support, though it seems like she might prefer light with her damage. With the ability to use a flexible self-chaining layer burst that scales with morale, we're really hoping it's good, because she's got a lot to compete against. It really doesn't help that she's premium either. These guys really know how to make money. Premium A2 is also a thing, clearly meant to capitalize on money and popularity. We don't see too much of her kit, but she seems to focus more on light damage with her super layer burst. The premium NieR units have the cool feature of empowering each other when they're in the same team. Dang, even Sylvie had the decency to not be premium. This is clearly money! But what we have yet to see is whether or not current money can compete with future money. Let's move on to the Christmas units we still haven't seen because, well, it's still not Christmas, which makes it interesting if we try to juxtapose Japanese Christmas with global Christmas. But regardless, Christmas Charlotte is a magical tank with excellent passives. However, in terms of tanking capability, the ability themselves are fairly standard. She can apply decent attack and magic breaks, but a 200% fire and wind elemental resistance buff is pretty incredible. Perhaps even more incredible is one of her grandest abilities, which grants her team a whopping 99% magic mitigation buff, though only for one turn. Her second grandest ability gives her team a re-raise and HP barrier, but also sacrifices Charlotte, which doesn't really bode well if you don't have a plan for a dead tank. She does have stage 3 Shelga, and a layer burst that boasts some sturdy levels of mitigation. However, it's her super layer burst that takes it a step further, but unfortunately, EX plus 3 doesn't get any cheaper. Notably, she also lacks a form of automatic cover. The second Japanese Christmas unit is Domino, a 3-star unit. Now with a Neo Vision form, Domino gets to deal strong physical wind damage that chains with Bolting Strike. That is, unfortunately, pretty much it, though her layer burst does buff the damage modifier of her normal attack. Her super layer burst does the same, but better, which might be cool if you like to work with normal attacks. Hopefully the two get buffed before they arrive in Globo. The Xenogears collaboration returns. Though the other Neo Visions do get buffs, that's not what this video is about. Saiton shows up and shows off his back, with a big focus on wind damage. Activate his robot form, and you pretty much get a Windlock robot, bolstering his incredible passes with his extra robot stats. Whether or not you want to go empty-handed as the last three isn't as cut and dry, as Saiton's robot gets the highly specialized ability of carrying weapons and making use of their imperils. Of course, the real question though might be him or Ellie. Her base form returns with 4 types of magic damage, though they're Bolting Strike and not Chaos Wave Awaken, and her layer burst also returns with the ability to be flexible. Activate her Brave Shift, and she calls in her robot, bringing in passes that shift her far more towards wind. She also gets the big attack boost when not carrying a single weapon, but as a magic damage dealer, she doesn't really care. Her layer burst is now locked to wind, so there goes that cool elemental flexibility. Final Fantasy Season 4 returns, with 2 characters we've already seen before, but now they're paired up. a fire and ice damage dealer that's heavily biased for fire. It only makes sense that their limit burst is locked to both. However, they do have the ability to choose between the two elements, though the number of attacks that will work with one amount to one ability and their super limit burst. It's been a while, but we finally come around full circle after hitting every Final Fantasy game series that no doubt exists. Final Fantasy VII returns of our premium Cloud. He's premium because he now has his last name. Cloud Strife has the freedom to choose between 4 elements of his choosing, though he heavily favors lightning. Despite this, he's not actually element locked, which is especially generous for a Japanese premium unit. Activate his True Brave Shift, and he switches forms, switching his Bolting Strike chain for a Strong Blow, and replaces his Limit Burst for a more straightforward beat stick. Following Cloud's incredible strength is another not new unit from Final Fantasy VII, Barret, but now we know what he leads. Going from his Neo Vision Awakened form of a physical damage dealer and a tank, Barret redefines himself as a physical damage dealer and a tank, and his support abilities amount to filling the limit burst gauge and taking on all blows. While he does have strong magic spells, the elemental resistance buffs still only amount to 2, and his limit bursts bring in the familiar fire defense damage with breaks and tanking mitigation we've seen before. Continuing the Final Fantasy VII series is another premium unit in Yuffie. Boasting premium abilities like Premium Throw and Premium Steal, she steals your Lapis in exchange for a strong Earth Amp. She's also got a powerful wind attack for whatever reason, but will pretty much stick to Earth, as you can see from the rest of her abilities. Her Limit Burst also brings in strong Earth damage, alongside the next level in weapon imperos to make the last Premium Thrower jealous. Activate her Brave Shift, and she'll bring in 4 more elements. Not that it'll matter much when her Limit Burst is still locked to Earth. Alongside Yuffie is a free Neo Vision unit, Sonon, a straightforward physical damage dealer. He's got weak Earth support and 1 wind attack. His Limit Burst is locked to Earth and isn't anything special, while the Super Limit Burst adds in more damage. Summer returns in what's likely going to be winter. Fina combines her cute cat hoodie with her cute swimsuit. The power of double cuteness gives her access to black magic. When did she have this? Even though it looks like she can work with both, she rather openly prefers water, as both of her limit bursts are pretty much locked into it. She hasn't thrown away all her support and recovery abilities, but as you can tell, they aren't the core focus here. I like that she keeps her hatred for fairies though. Of course, CG Fina is cute and all, but given the opportunity, I would have given it to Submarine Runda any day of the week. There's something about this guy wearing a small sailor shirt and decking a small sailor hat while riding a Thomas the Choo Choo submarine that makes my day. Runda steps away from his physical tank form, bringing in triple cast chains for 4 different families and damage support for your team. The elemental amplification might be strong, but only affects Runda and a teammate, though it's nice that elemental imbue is shared among your party. Unfortunately, this focus on support does subtract from what few things remain from his tanking capabilities, but it's not like it's his focus now. Final Fantasy V makes another appearance of Bart. He might be able to inflict 4 imperos, but the man still prefers wind. He retains his 45% amplification buff support from his Neo Vision Awakened form, a great ability to carry over, and really helps his wind lock limit burst once his grandest buff wears off. But this focus on wind is but a calculated diversion. For his True Brave Shift, wow, I wouldn't recognize him at all. He has the ability to disguise himself, casting aside wind to utilize light, fire, or lightning. His limit burst is flexible and stronger, but has the cool ability of further strengthening his base limit burst to really push it if he's sticking with wind. Cryo finally joins the team with her own Neo Vision form. The power of the cat hoodie gives her the power to support. She's got white magic with a heavy team revive cost, average earth and wind support, and a better Shoga than Protecka. The OK magic spells belie her true support though, that of powerful killers. This familiar feature does bring back familiar drawbacks though, most obvious being relatively slow. Further EX Awakenings does bring in stronger buffs, like the best wind buff in the game, and Plant Killer, which, okay, sure. Her Limit Burst is also familiar, granting weaker versions of her single target killer buffs for your team, and providing offensive support. But we're not done here. Activate her True Brave Shift, and I think we've seen this somewhere before. The power of Cat gives her the power of Earth, but even her Earth-locked Limit Burst is but a stepping stone for her true weapon, Berserk Normal Attack Rush. Doing so will cast aside her base support form, but perhaps the true Lioness lies— oh wait, that's a tiger. Just like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy V has 2 more units to show. Gilgamesh's special form is here to permanently stay. The man has brought several familiar abilities from his Neovision Awakened form, which isn't a good thing when he's just a Neovision-based breaker who's expected to have better breaks. Some of his attacks are thankfully stronger, but his grandest buffs aren't as impressive, especially since they're grandest. The original Omni-Tank move is back as well, but isn't any better. But I suppose he wants us to focus on his breaks. All of this leads to a 160 Dark Breaker of human killer support. Japan still refuses to hit 90 even though they know it exists. Following the Final Fantasy VII formula is a free Final Fantasy V unit, Kelger. The wolf is also a physical damage dealer, but now he's got 2 elements. Doesn't really matter because he's still locked to lightning. His super land burst is similar to Sonon's. Mid finally makes her appearance. Departing from her dad's skill of wind, Mid prefers to focus on Earth, empowering her Earth Lock land burst to then empower her Earth Lock jump. But activate her True Brave shift, and you'll see her armor take familiar colors, but with a twist. Her land burst doesn't do damage, but instead doubles down on her wind buff by activating a wind field effect as well. This really helps her Neil Wind kit, and perhaps some of her allies as well. A old guy appears. Not Dio's appearance marks the appearance of leader skills, which is an important feature of many units' evaluations going forward, and will be critical to understanding the ever-evolving meta of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. However, the game wiki doesn't tell me anything beyond their names. It doesn't even tell me what the new units have. I could pull up a screenshot of Deuce's reveals, but the man is only human and has been known to make mistakes. Sure, it's natural and he does own up to them, but all the same, it doesn't feel right giving you guys information from a guy who called Gobez worthless. And stood by it. And laughed. Which is really unlike me, who's always right, always serious, and never satirical or funny. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, leader skills. So I decided to brave the Japanese land of Altema with its weird hentai advertisements, quickly turned on adblock when my laptop started blushing, got lost when I realized I don't know Japanese, questioned my life choices as I read the broken English, and cheered when I saw that the leader skill translation was straightforward and simple. But then I found out I couldn't efficiently search for a new character without copying and pasting their Japanese names. So if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you're involved with the wiki, please update that part because I need another source. Anyways, Not Dio packs a punch with his leader skill, boosting attack and magic by 500%, and defense and spirit by 200%, and now I realize I have to explain the finer details. You see, the benefits from leader skills will affect units under certain groups, and in Not Dio's case, the buff will be applied onto Darkness, which might be Dark units, an anniversary story. Sure. I hate this so much. So thankfully the wiki does mention they include a filter system for leader skills, because wow, I've wasted so much time with this. Let's look at Not Dio's kit. He's a straightforward dark damage dealer who does have average dark support. His land burst is honestly really unimpressive for a premium unit, so it's clear we should expect something better from his Brave Shift. But nope, what we do get is terrible abilities that cost half his land burst gauge to use, so it's clear you'll want to stick with his land burst and its powerful Dark Lock punch. This is especially potent when he packs a passive that lets him spam it every turn, which is really helpful given its ramp-up properties. For whatever reason, they have this sick, twisted idea to lock the damage burst buff behind EX plus 2. Next, they're gonna add hentai advertisements onto the unit's armor. Not Dio isn't on his own though, for Raka also rides in on some Magitech armor. Her leader skill is non-existent, very cool, love the direction we're going in. Raka brings back some familiar abilities, like cooldown reduction and on-demand buff removal, alongside some different elemental damage. However, as is the case with most Magic Japanese units, she prefers one type over all. Earth in her case, but for burst, field buff, passive, and magic spells. Of course, her land bursts are also Earth-locked. Following Premium Not Dio is a Premium Not Lastworm. His leader skill affects the same group as Not Dio but Ice, though it has much less attack and magic for a bit more defense and spirit. He also has the same terrible idea of EX plus 2 burst buff, and as you might be able to tell, he's pretty much a ice damage dealer. He does have cool effects such as buff removal, land burst fill, and, well, he's probably going to die, but at least he'll be able to hit stuff with his land burst. Activate his Brave Shift, and he becomes a magic damage dealer. This form brings along wind damage and new chaining families, but he still prefers to go ice. For whatever reason, he's now holding a gun, so I'll call him Gunwell. Alongside Gunwell is his father, Ray Gun. Ray Gun's leader skill is Gun no leader skill, and I can't really tell what's going on with his vision card. Ray Gun has the nifty ability to use every element, which he could always do, except for dark, because he can never do dark. Fire and ice are his strongest choices, but he doesn't have a grandest burst to push his damage, so despite his flexibility, he'll really need support. Veritas of the Frost finally makes his questionable appearance with an underwhelming leader skill, with less offensive stats than Gunwell. Like his name implies, he works with ice damage, but he can also support ice, with some strong buffs that don't match the ability's cooldown duration. He does have a magic spell to supplement his cooldown while it's off, though his land bursts are just ice damage. Get him to EX plus 2 and he becomes the best ice supporter in the game. Get him to EX plus 3 and you'll get a license to kill. Very normal. Alongside Veritas of the Frost is Sakura. Her base form brings back a lot of old abilities that aren't very amazing today, but she does have strong single target killer buffs, so just ignore the rest. She's not just a support, as she does pack some black magic spells, but she'll need the help of her past story self to really strengthen their damage modifiers. Her land burst is lightning support, but nothing really new, and her EX abilities are underwhelming because we've seen stuff like that before. But activate her Brave Shift, and she becomes Veritas of the Boat, bringing in self buffs to push her new lightning land burst. Her leader skill is also not great, by the way. Loving the disparity already. The break in premium units was an evil plot all along, just to make sure the players were ready for the advent of Premium Rain. His leader skill is absolutely insane, because not only does it have the same stats as Not Dio's, but the group he affects involves fire types and all units from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Being a premium unit, he has the privilege of demanding more lapis to get normal stuff, but otherwise, his kit is pretty straightforward, working with fire damage and supporting your team with fire. His land burst isn't amazing at all, so we'll switch to his Brave Shift. This form brings in stronger self buffs, alongside strong elemental finishers for Earth, Lightning, and Ice. Where did the last two come from? Regardless of these new abilities, he's still element locked to fire. What an amazing premium design! Accompanying Rain is Fina, with a 300% full stat buff leader skill for fire and anniversary units. She's a healer and a supporter, packing EX plus 3 style killers at base, alongside strong single target ones for beasts and demons. She can also remove the boss from your team, though it's not to the extent of being on demand. She's also got fire and earth support, alongside some other standard magic spells. Her land bursts just do damage, so no support to be found there. At EX plus 2, she gets the best fire buff to compete with Lefsha in that area. Hyol from the new Dark Visions appears as a ranking reward. I don't know what he does. He might not even exist. The wiki doesn't have him and neither does Altema, so moving on. Final Fantasy XI returns, with another appearance from Shantato. Her leader skill sucks, so let's look at her kit. She brings back some old abilities demonstrating her mastery over the elements, packing many magic spells and the modifiers to back them up. She's also got the ability to fully restore one ally's MP, and despite her assortment of elements, she very much prefers to go dark. Her land burst just does dark damage, but her super land burst does more dark damage, and throws in more modifier buffs. Alongside Shantato's fourth appearance is Lion's first appearance. Her leader skill is also bad. I hate Altema, so let's look at her kit. She's got abilities like Escape, Throw, and Mug, alongside the breaks that I can't believe still exist. She also packs Accuracy Reduction, 4 elements but really prefers Light, Provoke tanking, Killers, and Evasion support, and all this culminates in the standard new Light debuffer. And that's it! Oh, Dragon Quest is getting more units? Well, that was just announced, so we don't have much info on that. Here, look at screenshots of their sneak peeks for now. And those were all the upcoming Neo Vision units that Japan has received and NieR. Keep in mind that the global version of the game gets its own original characters that are also often much better. And honestly, aside from Cloud, I think I'll just wait for that. Leader skills is a cool new thing they already power creep within 3 units, so I think I'll just wait for global leader skills instead. Regardless, Riser's not here, but thanks for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below. Do any of these Neo Vision units catch your eye? I like Submarine Runda.